Thanks for everybody for showing up and being here on a beautiful sunny afternoon. I'm glad to be standing here today with a good friend, Carroll Campbell. Most of you know his father and I were governors back to back, and I've known the Campbell family for a long time. In fact, I used to play down at the beach by his granddaddy's house and his daddy's house growing up, and we've been friends and family friends for a long time, and so it's great to be here standing with another Carroll Campbell, a long list of Carroll Campbells, and this Carroll Campbell carries many of the same traits that made his father and his grandfather great men and great leaders for our great state. I know in these times of politics they're tough times, and a lot of people in this country, including South Carolina, are very disillusioned about what's happening in politics. The fighting in Washington, where it seems like we put partisan politics above what's doing good and right for the American people. And the last thing we need to do now is send another politician to Washington. I think I share the same feelings of the average South Carolinians. I'm truthfully, quite frankly, fed up with politicians. It's time we send a businessman to Washington, someone who understands what it takes to make a payroll, who understands the onerous burdens of regulation and overtaxation, someone who understands what it means to create a job, to give people hope and opportunity, a paycheck so they can take care of their own family, not have to depend on government. And that's why it's good to be here, because we're standing with someone at a place that has great roots, in an area that is very dependent upon tourism, very dependent upon jobs creation and infrastructure. And his granddaddy used to run this place right here before he and I both were born, and he's got a lot of memories around here, which I'm sure when we were kids, there's a lot of things we don't talk about. And help me tell you how many whippings we might have got running around here, playing in the pool and doing these kind of things, enjoying the South Carolina beaches, the quality of life this great state of ours, which is in peril because of liberal and out-of-control spending and a socialist mentality in Washington. And so we need to send someone up there who knows what it takes to run a business, who knows what it takes to create jobs, but who's also tough. And I say that because that's probably one of the two most significant reasons that I'm standing here endorsing Carroll Campbell. One is that we don't need wimpy politicians. We don't need politicians that will go up there and say one thing home and do another thing in Washington. I've known Carroll Campbell for a number of years. That's one of the things I've always admired about him. What he says privately is the same thing he stands for publicly. He's tough. He understands what it takes to withstand the political pressures that are so awesome in Washington and is so grueling on the average politician. So we need someone who's been there, who's done that, who understands what it takes to be tough and to stand strong. But we also need someone, when they stand tough, they stand with conservative principles. And that's what we have in Carroll Campbell. He's pro-family, he's pro-life, he's pro-business, he's pro-American, and he's also pro-South Carolina. And he'll fight for the jobs. And that's what we need. I mean, when you got a leaking faucet, you call a plumber. When you got a job problem, you call a job creator. And that's what we have here. Family business, restaurant business, Wendy's. He has Wendy's all over, several down here, creation of hundreds and hundreds of jobs that makes a difference for people. So he understands tourism. He understands the hotel industry. He understands the impact that it has on our economy in South Carolina. When I travel around the world, and I'll be talking to folks who are like lately, I've spent a lot of time in Dubai and places like that, and they'll talk about tourism and how much tourism is coming to Dubai, and they'll talk about tourism in the United States, and they'll say, well, you got a lot of beaches in Florida, don't you? I said, yeah, but you know where the #1 golf destination is per capita in the United States? I said, no. I said, Myrtle Beach. South Carolina? I said, no. I said, yeah. I said, you know how many tourists we have a year? that visit our beaches and tourism in South Carolina, over 30 million. I'll actually usually say, take a guess, and they're like, 5 million. I say, no, over 30 million. Then I'd give them the economic impact. And the point is, tourism is very important in South Carolina. Jobs creation is extremely important in today's environment when our unemployment rate is extraordinarily high. When I was governor, following the heels of one of the greatest job creators that this country has ever known, his dad, who taught me the principles of not just being pro-business and reducing taxes and regulations, but how do you practically do it? How do you implement that conservative philosophy such that businesses in South Carolina can prosper and grow, that we create an environment for job creation? And that's what we have with Carroll Campbell, someone who understands his principles that his dad taught him about how we can be pro-business and conservative in government, and something his granddad taught him, the understanding of running a business, be it a hotel, or the principles from his father of running a Wendy's like a restaurant. And so, thank you for letting me be here with you to share with you what I think is very important. The Republicans are in a minority right now in the House. But one thing I know, we need a strong voice that will stand strong against the liberal wave that's taken over in Washington. Nancy Pelosi, the Harry Reid, the liberal following, it needs to be stopped. It needs to be turned back. And we don't need just anybody up there. We need someone with proven, tested background. In my experience with Carroll Campbell, he's got the courage, he's got the conservatism, he's got the toughness, he's got the practical experience of understanding the principles of government, and he's got that pro-business, no-nonsense leadership skills that we need today. So I present to you my good friend and the next United States Congressman from this district, Carroll Campbell. It's been a while since we've been on the stage together.
I think you still got it. Let me, first before I get started, let me tell you a little bit about mine and David's relationship and the reason that it means so much to me today. And the reason is because David said, David and my father worked very closely together over the years. My dad worked very hard to campaign for David and get David elected as the governor. But over the course of the last year, I've been asking David for advice, and the advice he's been giving me. But the reason it's so important to me is the advice he's been giving me is advice that my father shared with him. He taught him how to go out there and create jobs. He taught him what it meant to be a true leader and stand up for strong principles. And so, David, I just want to thank you. It means the world to me that you're here, and I certainly appreciate it. Now, let me tell you another reason that I picked this location, and David let the cat out of the bag. This was the hotel that my grandfather used to run, the old Cadillac Court, back in the 70s and 80s, early 80s. And the reason it's so important for me is because this was my first introduction to Myrtle Beach. This is where I started coming. This is where I started getting my sunburns, right here in the pool back out front. And I used to come down. He lived in an apartment right here. And I'd come down here and stay with him on weeks at a time. But I felt like it was really important to come out here because I wanted people to understand that Carroll Campbell has been in this area, and I understand what this beach is all about, and I understand how important this boulevard is. It's nice to see people going up and down through this boulevard because it means that tourism, at least people are starting to come back to South Carolina and come back here to Myrtle Beach. I'll tell you a little bit more about David. David stood, and has always stood, on strong conservative principles. And you know, David, we've had our few things that we don't agree on, but you know, that's all right because nobody's ever going to agree on everything. But you know what? David is a loyal person, and I appreciate him being here and standing strong for me, standing strong, hopefully bring a business approach to running our government. I got involved in my race a year ago against the 10-year incumbent because I felt like the Republican Party needed to make some changes. So I took on somebody I had supported because I felt like we could no longer go along and accept status quo or accept and promote from within. And now we fast forward to today, and what do we have? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have 8 opponents running against me, and 6 of them, excuse me, are elected officials or bureaucrats. I say today, and throughout this campaign, enough is enough. We do not need to continue to promote from within. We need to take a business approach to running our governments. We need to stand strong, and we need to make sure that we do not continue to spend money we don't have. Thank you for coming. And David, again, thank you so much for your endorsement. I certainly appreciate it. It means the world to me, and it means the world to my family.